and then the little lobe at the very bottom, the little lobe position projecting right there is the caudate lobe of the liver. We've already talked about the greater omentum, which is attached to the stomach. There is also a lesser omentum, which is also attached to the stomach. Now, this J-shaped organ right here is the stomach, this J-shaped organ. There are two curvatures associated with the stomach. There is a much larger curve, which is called the greater curvature, and this is where the greater omentum is connected. There is also a smaller curve up here at the top, which is called the lesser curvature of the stomach, and this is where you find the tissue known as the lesser omentum. The lesser omentum connects to the lesser curvature of the stomach, and the greater omentum connects to the greater curvature of the stomach. We pulled some of the lesser omentum aside in order to be able to see the caudate lobe just a little bit earlier. Now, there are two other parts associated with the stomach. There is a cardiac region, and there is a pyloric region. The cardiac region is it's a little bit hard to see, but it's the area, the region of the stomach closest to where it connects to the esophagus. It's very difficult to see, but this would be the area of the stomach real close to where the esophagus would connect, and so that would be the first section of the stomach here would be called the cardiac region. Then follow the stomach on around to where it connects to the small intestines, and this last area of the stomach here, before it connects to the small intestine, is called the pyloric region. So there are four regions to the stomach. There's the greater curvature, there is the lesser curvature, there's the cardiac region close to where it connects to the esophagus, and then there is the pyloric region where it connects to the small intestines. Underneath the stomach, running along the area where you are running along the small intestines, there is an organ, kind of meaty looking, or it is kind of grainy looking. It's a light brown, and it runs along the first section, the small intestines, and underneath the stomach. This organ is called the pancreas. It's a fairly long organ. It would be up under the stomach and the small intestines. And this is called the pancreas. Runs along this area here. That's the pancreas. Now, identifying the sections of the small intestines, there are three different sections to the small intestines. There is the duodenum or duodenum, which connects to the stomach. Here's the stomach. And this is this first section here of the small intestines is the duodenum. The second section is called the jejunum. It's very difficult to tell where the duodenum stops and the jejunum begins, but all of this middle section here, if you point to any of this middle section here for the small intestines, that would be jejunum. Notice when I pull up the sections, you can see some tissue connecting all the little sections of the small intestines. This tissue, and you may be able to see some blood vessels running through it. This tissue is known as mesentery, and it helps hold all the sections of the small intestines together. Now, the third section of the small intestines is called the ileum, and it can be located where the small intestines connects to the large intestines. This is the beginning of the large intestines, right here. And the section of the small intestines, the last section of the small intestine, is this area right here. And this would be the ileum, and it connects to the large intestines. Let's go back and review the three sections. The first section of the small intestines that connects to the stomach is called the duodenum. Then it joins to this middle portion here, which is called the jejunum. And then the last section of the small intestines would be the ileum, this section right here, and it connects to the large intestines. The very first section, you can see this positioned here where this would be the ileum. And there's a section of the small intestines that extends down below where the ileum connects. This part of the large intestines, this very first section that hangs down below the rest of it, is called the cecum. This is the cecum. And this is where the appendix would be connected in the human. If you still have your appendix, it would be connected to the cecum. The large intestines, the rest of the large intestines is made up of the colon, and there are three different sections to the colon. The first section that extends up is called the ascending colon. It would connect to the cecum. The very next section would be the ascending. Then going across would be the transverse colon, and then extending down would be the descending colon. Then the large intestines would end here. The next section connected to the colon, to the descending colon, would be the rectum, and it would be this area right in here. So in reviewing the large intestines, the very first section of the large intestines is the cecum, positioned right here. Then you've got the ascending, you've got the ascending colon. There is the transverse colon going across, and then there is the descending colon going down, and in this lowest position here would be the rectum. Now, the opening that would connect to this rectum would be the anus. That would be the anus. Along the left side of the cat, there's an organ here which would be just to the left of the stomach and the small intestines, is a fairly large organ called the spleen. That would be the spleen. So this reviews the first group of organs. These are the ones that make up the first lab of internal organs.